Welcome to the Station Wagon. I'm the older brother, Marc.
And I'm little sister Julie. This is the podcast where my brother and I give up something we take for granted and tell you how it goes.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Are you going to introduce us?
No, I want you to.
You want
Go
me
for
to?
it.
Okay,
Because
hey.
I'm busy eating this chocolate.
Oh, God. Hey, Julie. How's it going?
Great. How are you, Marky?
Good. This episode is going to stink, and I'm not going
it's
to
not.
enjoy one bit of it.
It was your stupid idea. Today, folks, we are focusing on chocolate. The ups, the downs, the history, the science, and then we're going to give it up for a couple weeks and let you know what happens to us and if we survive.
Right. Are we actually going to talk about the ups, or are we just going to talk about the downs of having to give it up?
Wait, that was like reverse wording. I'm going to talk, when I do the awesome science portion after your quiz and history, I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of chocolate and also why chocolate is bad.
And I'll talk about why giving it up is terrible.
Fair. And bluff, bottom line up front, chocolate is delicious.
Wait, bottom line up front. Wouldn't that be bloof?
Dude, you are so not in the military.
I guess, but bluff has two F's in it, doesn't it?
Okay, so are you ready to give me a quiz on chocolate?
No, I don't think so. I think we need to solve this whole bluff conspiracy. Okay, yes, I do have a quiz for you about chocolate. Would you like it?
Do you need an XSUM first, an executive summary?
No, thank you.
Okay.
No. Okay, so the first question is white chocolate chocolate?
No.
Very good. Why not?
Because it has no cocoa in it. It's just like sugar, hydrogenated oils, and some fat.
Right. Do you know where the fat's from?
Either like palm oil or cocoa butter?
Right. Cocoa butter. Do you know where cocoa butter is from?
Cows.
For real? You don't know?
No, I know it's vegan, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so cocoa butter is one of the products that actually comes out of the cocoa manufacturing process. So
so then it should be chocolate.
Well, it's interesting. I think you're right that it's not chocolate because there are actually no cocoa solids in white chocolate. It's the cocoa butter or the fat that comes from it, and it has no flavor like chocolate does.
Yeah, but if you squeeze a banana and get like banana juices out, like banana oils, you would still consider that part of the banana.
Can we consider a different substance? There's got to be a better example than banana juice because
a pomegranate.
That's not a thing.
Imagine a pomegranate.
Right. So just to back up a little bit.
I thought you were saying because it's too phallic and you just didn't want to imagine squeezing it till juice came out.
No, but let me just school you a little bit on how chocolate is made.
Okay. And then I want to get back to this interesting pomegranate versus banana.
No, I think we're just going to drop that.
Okay.
So the way chocolate is made is first you get the cocoa pods. They take out the seeds from the pods, and then they let them ferment for a few days. And then they
die of boredom.
Who, the cocoa pods?
Oh, I meant your sister. Sorry. Please continue.
And then, oh my God. And then they basically grind up those cocoa pods and make a chocolate liqueur.
Okay.
And then they smush that chocolate liqueur under high pressure and expel out the cocoa butter fat. And what remains is this cocoa powder stuff.
Oh,
and
so
then, it's a byproduct of the cocoa manufacturing process. And then what happens is they actually reassemble the cocoa butter and the cocoa liqueur back together again in a different ratio than what it actually existed in the plant form to make chocolate.
So it's kind of like when they take pink slime and reassemble it to make chicken nuggets.
I thought pink slime was just beef.
Oh, I don't know. Don't quote me, folks. We don't eat a lot of McDonald's.
Right. But that's essentially it. So yeah, imagine taking that cocoa butter and use it for things like hand lotion. You see that all the time, moisturizers and stuff.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And it probably is vegan, but I'm not suggesting you eat your hand lotion. I agree with you. I don't think white chocolate is chocolate either. I think you could say it's a cocoa derivative byproduct or something.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Well, you actually convinced me the other way. I now think it's chocolate.
Oh, God. Okay. Next question. In I'm going to give you 3 options. In what century is the first recorded use of medicinal chocolate? The 5th century, the 12th century, or the 16th century?
16th.
Very good. I learned that from SmithsonianMagazine.com article all about it. And there was a priest in the 1590s that hung out in South America and recorded how the South American indigenous people were using basically cocoa. It wasn't what we would consider chocolate, but cocoa for all kinds of medicinal uses.
Oh, interesting. Well, and back then was in the timing of when people were like, here's a liquid, let's try applying it to your wound and see what happens.
Right. So interestingly enough, though, eating chocolate, 2 things. One, they saw, I guess you would just say anecdotally, because they weren't doing scientific method back then, but they would actually see people kind of fattening up from eating chocolate. So they would prescribe it for like dysentery or other stomach ailments where eating was a problem.
That makes sense.
And then the other thing that would happen is they would drink it. They would make a chocolate drink.
Weird.
But what was really cool about it is that it was probably, and they would think it had healthful properties, but it was just probably coincidence that to make the chocolate drinks, they were boiling it first. So killing off all the bacteria. So it was giving them something that was bacteria free to drink.
But just because it was boiled. And there wasn't sugar added to it.
No, there was no sweeteners.
Right? It was like horribly disgusting.
God, why are you measuring 16th century indigenous peoples by your weird Olympia yardstick?
I'm just saying, like, have you ever eaten just baking cocoa?
Yeah, and that's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about more raw, unprocessed. Yeah, it probably is pretty interesting. Okay, so last question. And you have 3 choices again.
It'll be my first win.
Oh my God, that's true. In what city or country is the Willy Wonka factory located?
Oh my gosh.
Loompa London, England, or Itasca, Illinois?
London, England.
Itasca, Illinois.
You mean in the book, right?
No, I mean in real life.
Actually,
in the book, it's not called the Willy Wonka factory. It's called the Chocolate Factory. It's only called the Willy Wonka factory in real life, where the Nestle Corporation actually owns it. And they branded it the Willy Wonka factory or the Willy Wonka chocolate company so that they could actually sell candy bars and stuff.
Listeners, if you think I am right and Marc is full of it, full of beans, full of cocoa beans, let us know. Write in. We're waiting.
Right. And actually, I think I disagree, at least in the movie, that it was placed in London, England, because everybody was speaking with an American accent.
Oh, okay. I'm convinced.
Right. So, but you can go on to
Surrey.
You can go on to Google and search for the Willy Wonka factory and look at the street view of it on Google Maps at Itasca, Illinois. It doesn't look really anything remotely like what it does in the movie.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marky.
I know. It was kind of a downer. Julie,
that was your favorite movie, right?
It was pretty good. I actually have an extra question for you, considering maybe you can, get this back. So for an extra special bonus, name 2 current candies sold by the Willy Wonka Candy Company.
Okay. Wonka Bar.
Yes.
And Everlasting Gobstopper.
Yes. Very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you just make those up because those are the ones that are talked about in the movie?
Partially. And then I was imagining the packaging and I knew that Everlasting Gobstopper was one.
Right. Very good. So there were a couple that I didn't quite realize. They're not chocolate, but Fun Dip.
Ew.
Laffy Taffy. Let's see. Nerds. Those are great.
I like those. Those
yeah, Sweet Tarts. I didn't know all those things were Wonka chocolate or Wonka candy. Good stuff. Julie, you did really well. I think this is the very first time you've aced a quiz.
Yes. So you think that bonus question counts?
Oh, absolutely. You got Everlasting Gobstoppers and Wonka
What's
Bar.
What's my prize? 2 weeks of no chocolate.
2 weeks of no chocolate, and maybe one of our listeners will send you a present.
Aw, that's nice. Thanks, listener.
Nice? Yeah. I have no idea who or when, but
right. Someday.
It could happen.
Next
Julie,
time I get a present, I'll just assume it had to do with this. Perfect.
Very good. So, that was the quiz. Now we're on to history.
Woohoo! Who does that segment?
I do too. Wah, wah, wah. All right. History.
You'd think by episode 40, maybe we would have switched it up a little bit, but that's all right. Let's go with it.
Let's go with this. And maybe we would have actually had good music.
No, I liked it.
Wah, 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 wah. All right.
It's growing on me.
All right. So when do you think cocoa came to North America?
Well, it was already in Europe by the 1700s. So, yeah, I would say probably around then, 1700s.
Actually, it was between 900 and 1200 after the Common Era.
Oh, right, of course, because South America, yeah.
Right, because South America is actually connected to North America. We're like its hat. Right? So archaeologists actually working in New Mexico's Chaco Canyon found remnants of cocoa that's in a 1,000-year-old vase, and it was used by the Anasazi people.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And what's also really cool about that find is people had theorized for a long time that there was a 2,000-kilometer long trading route that stretched between New Mexico and Central America.
Wow.
And that provided a lot of evidence for that hypothesis, which is pretty amazing.
Tremendously big. I mean, that means real sophisticated trade route.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we think about like the trade route between like India and China and Europe and all that, Marco Polo, but I'd love to have a comparison between that and this trade route.
Yeah. Because
the Americas rock. All right. When did the first major chocolate production begin?
When you say
and this might feel like a quiz.
It does actually.
It does, but actually I approached I did. I actually approached my history a little differently this time. Just basically, I jotted down the questions I wanted to get answered from history.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, I mean, if you mean including sugar as it, I mean, like you're not just talking about use of cocoa beans. You're talking about like what we consider to be chocolate.
Actually, yeah. To clarify, it's the eatable. I guess some people call it edible? Candy chocolate that we would consider worthy of eating now.
Okay, 1702.
Oh, that is really close. It's like the 1870s.
Okay.
Right. So there was a lot of production in America, in the United States before that time period. In fact, 1600s to 1700s, people were drinking chocolate, but it wasn't sweetened and it was really thick. So it was basically like scraping off chocolate chunks from unsweetened chocolate cakes, I don't know, and melting it and drinking that swill.
Right.
That doesn't sound very good, but I think I would survive if forced to drink that.
Right.
Then what happened is they started adding sugar, they started adding milk and cocoa butter and fats to it and making it better tasting, but it was really gritty and coarse. And it was in the 1870s that the Swiss actually perfected a way of producing chocolate on a large scale that wasn't gritty and coarse.
Oh, I wondered what the Swiss had to do with things.
Right, the Swiss got it
started. It's not like where you grow the beans.
No, right. It's they perfected the method.
Cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. So I got a couple throwaway history things for you. Ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
When did the Hershey's Company start up?
1902.
Very good, 1900s. How did you come up with 1902? That's so close.
Because before I said 1702, so I just wanted to be consistent. But I knew it was that century.
Okay.
I didn't know. I was guessing. And I'm awesome. Yeah.
Do you know
Stop
what
asking about my methods.
Do you know what my favorite chocolate modality is?
Hershey's chocolate with almonds.
No.
What? Peanut M&Ms.
Yes. Very good.
I knew that. I don't know where I was going.
Very good. Those started production, or they were first sold in 1954.
Is that Mars Corp?
Yes. But the thing that I do know about that is when they started selling them, they started also showing on the package of standard M&Ms pictures of what the M&Ms look like. That was the first time that the picture had actually been on the package.
Oh.
Yeah. And they also changed it from, quote, plain M&Ms to milk chocolate M&Ms for the standard kind.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wait, hold on.
I know.
That's interesting.
I'm glad you woofed on the truth.
That's me. Woofon sounds like the dog truther version of MUFON, which is an alien truther organization.
Right. It's the hold on. Let me guess. not guess, but let me think back to watching the X-Files because they were all about MUFON. It was Mutual Unidentified Flying Object Network, something like that.
Impressive, Mark.
Is that what it was?
I don't know. I'm not going to bother Googling to double check you. I trust your nerdiness. That was awesome.
Thanks. I think it's Mutual. Anyway, that is history. That's everything you possibly ever need to know about chocolate.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let me ask you about some of your personal history.
Oh, God. You sound far away from my headset.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is because I just put my phone away.
Oh, okay.
But because I forgot I had to talk into that thing.
Okay.
So, sorry about that. Okay, so let me ask you about your personal history.
Yeah.
Mark, would you say that in the household in which you were raised, chocolate played a small role in dessert, a medium-sized role in dessert, or a large role in dessert?
Actually, interestingly enough, I would say that it played a small role in dessert, but a medium to large size elsewhere.
What do you mean?
What I mean is, I remember, and one of my favorite things to eat for a treat is some kind of cold cereal with M&Ms in it.
Yes, I was going to say that too. And if we didn't have M&Ms, chocolate chips.
Right, exactly. And so that wasn't dessert.
It wasn't dessert. That was just the meal.
Like a Saturday morning breakfast kind of thing, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And also Mom made those chocolate macaroons that were so good.
Oh my gosh, those are so good. And hey, Passover's coming up, so I'll put that recipe up for everybody.
You're going to make them and bring them to, well, are we seeing you for Passover?
Yeah, you're coming to my house. Yeah, I'll make them.
Okay, good. Are they going to be good? Or are they going to be gross and vegan?
No, I'm going to make them. I make them even better than Mom did. No offense, Mom. I'm sorry, but I add an egg.
Oh, really? That makes it better.
Yeah, I think it makes it better. Anyway, and salt. Chocolate and salt and sugar are the best combination. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so see you online for recipe, folks.
So I don't really remember any special chocolatey desserts. I remember we had like Hershey's syrup every once in a while, but not too often.
The thing I want to point out is I think the way we were raised, thanks to our amazing mom, is that chocolate was like ketchup. I mean, we had chocolate constantly. It was not like a special occasion thing.
That's true.
I mean, at least once or twice a day, at least.
What? Once or twice a day? I don't think that's true for me.
I had every breakfast. I either had a chocolate Pop-Tart, chocolate milk, or cereal with chocolate on it.
They gave you chocolate milk?
Yeah, Carnation Instant Breakfast. Well, I gave it to myself in high school.
Yeah, you had a different upbringing than I did.
Yeah, okay. I was the youngest kid. So by the time I came along, it was like, we got the air and the spare. Now, Julie
we got the air in the spare? What does that mean?
It means Rob was the heir, you were the spare in case something happened to Rob. And I was just like the one for fun that you give chocolate to.
Dude, I thought you said air like AIR and spare like spare tire. Like you had the air, the spare tire. What are you talking about? Okay, I get it. The air and the spare. Okay, sorry, we digressed just a little bit there, Julie.
Anyway, so just your background history. Okay, so chocolate. I really wanted to find a whole bunch of good research that says how great chocolate actually is for your health. Mm-hmm. And, high in antioxidants. It reduces symptoms of depression and stuff. And folks, believe me, I scoured the literature for this.
Really?
That research isn't there in terms of compelling research. There's
science on it, isn't there? Aren't people doing scientific method-y research on this stuff?
Yes, there is. There is research out there enough for like a BuzzFeed article on and I found like a Psychology Today that was like, yeah, go ahead and eat chocolate. It's great for your mental health. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Yes, there are some studies that frankly not with really high scientific rigor show that when people are eating chocolate, they're happier. But correlation doesn't equal causation because of oftentimes third factors. It was mediated by people who actually like chocolate. So like when I went back and read that original study, it's like if you actually took out whether or not they like chocolate, the effect disappears. So in other words, people who like chocolate, give them chocolate and they're going to be happier.
Oh, geez. What about if you are eating chocolate at a super happy birthday party?
Right, exactly. Versus like in a closet. Yeah.
Right.
The one study that I found that was like, or set of studies, and I read a review of this. And again, just for folks, when you read a review study, that means they took like 20 or 30 really good quality studies and compiled all those results so you get a better picture of things.
Cool.
And that one found, chocolate is not associated with heart problems, and that was the only like significant finding. Like, eating chocolate in moderation will not kill your heart, but it certainly doesn't have like this great curative effect that some studies and BuzzFeed articles have claimed. If you eat chocolate in a very small amounts, there are some studies that make it look like there's less heart disease. So if you have chocolate in small amounts, that's like less than 1 serving a day, compared to people who never eat it, there might be a little bit of protective factor.
And remember, we are not suggesting eating chocolate to reduce heart disease.
Right, totally.
Right. That's so interesting. I really thought that there was better and more science about chocolate.
I mean, there is science in like, oh, sorry about my microphone. There is science in like rat studies and stuff, but none of it's really compelling. And, there are good things in chocolate. Yeah, there are antioxidants, but there's also a lot of sugar. And it's definitely better to eat some blueberries instead of some chocolate if your purpose is antioxidants. Are
you done?
No, I'm not done.
Are you going to talk about dark chocolate?
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact, because that's what I eat, especially since we started our no sugar challenge, and I've stuck with that on and off. On most days, I don't eat a lot of sugar, and some I don't at all, except for dark chocolate, very dark chocolate, because when we did our sugar challenge, it kind of changed my taste buds. The thing about dark chocolate is that it's pretty good, right? And it's not super bad for you if you're eating just a little bit. My recommendation to people would be, let's say you're about to eat 100 calories of something. It's probably better to eat 100 calories of dark chocolate than 100 calories of sugar cookies, because that 100 calories of sugar cookies isn't going to fill you up. There's not a lot of fat in it. It's just good, unless there's super good butter in it. Maybe 100 calories of cheese would be good. But, if you're going for something sweet, it's going to leave you with that sugar high and then loss, whereas 100 calories of dark chocolate, at least there's something there that's going to fill you up and make you feel satisfied later.
Got it.
But it's still not good for you. It's certainly not health food. So don't trick yourself into thinking that. If you're using dark chocolate to replace other stuff, if you're like, I'm definitely going to eat something sweet, what should it be? This dark chocolate or this cookie? Yeah, go with the dark chocolate. But you know what's even better? Go with the dried cherries. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't do that. I still eat dark chocolate. I'm just saying it ain't great for you.
And so you eat it because you like the flavor of it.
I love the flavor of dark chocolate. And if I was just I have this friend, Julie, who every night, the only sugar she eats is a little bit of dark chocolate every day. And she and her husband have like 1 square of dark chocolate before bed. And it's like a really nice little treat. And I look forward to it.
Does it get confusing having a friend named Julie?
Yes, we work together too. There used to be 4 of us.
Oh, brother. Are you done?
No. You keep interrupting me and asking me that and asking me exciting questions about
You're kind
Julie's.
of going on and on and on.
Okay, anyway. All right. So, chocolate, acne. What are your thoughts?
Oh, man. Well, in one of our past episodes, we actually talked about how that has no impact on acne. So I think acne and chocolate, there is not a link.
Ladybird, stop eating that pillow. I found a study. I found a study that said chocolate increases acne. And it was pretty reliable. They had an N of 45, which isn't huge, but they had a pretty big effect size. And they had undergraduate students eat either chocolate or jelly beans. And 48 hours later, they looked for lesions on their faces, i.e. zits. And the chocolate group had more.
No.
I totally thought it was apocryphal. I remember Mom saying that when we were kids after nursing us on chocolate, saying, get off chocolate. Yeah.
We're going to have to go back and redact that old episode. Blank that part out.
I'm just going to make it staticky. So,
very good. Well, that stinks.
Also, period cravings. There's, some people say, well, chocolate helps me get through my period. Or I am sure you say this all the time, that at your period or right before your period, you crave chocolate.
Totally. When Aunt Flo is coming over for a visit, I reach for the Hershey's chocolate bar like nobody's business.
Of course. It turns out that our association of chocolate and the Crimson Tide is just cultural. So only women who have been raised by like American parents have that.
Really? What about Swiss parents or German parents where chocolate is a big thing? We don't really know. We don't cover that. You're going to have to listen to a different podcast.
Go listen to the Swiss Station Wagon Volkswagen.
That's right. Anyway, the Volkswagen podcast.
Okay, so bottom line science stuff is that don't fool yourself into thinking chocolate's health food. 2, chocolate is really messy. We're moving into spring and summertime here, and it melts and gets icky all over the place. 3, chocolate is delicious. That's all you need to know.
Very good. And now, Julie, we're going to give it up for 2 weeks.
Huzzah!
This is going to suck. Okay, so I don't know where I work. Yeah. They have these.
You don't know where you work?
Wait, what? No, I know where I work.
You said, I don't know where I work.
Okay. That should have been like a period or maybe a semicolon in there.
You see, you need to do what I do in my messages to you where I say, hi, this is Julie, !
Right. I'll
where
start
I work,
doing that.
comma. Okay.
Right. So at work, we have a bunch of snacks that they provide and other good, healthy food. One of the snacks that they provide is plain M&Ms. Used to be peanut M&Ms, but I think maybe they had some cost reduction.
Ate too many?
I think so. Like they didn't last as long. And they're in these tubes, like these clear tubes. As you walk through the office, you see them and you turn like a dial on the bottom and you hold your hand out underneath it and they drop into your hand.
Like Jelly Belly containers?
Well, they used to have Jelly Bellies. They replaced those with Skittles. And now, and you fill either your hand, a paper cup, or you can just like hold your mouth underneath it.
Are you listening, federal government? If you want to retain quality employees,
right,
we need to adopt some of these things. Okay.
This is what the private sector, this is best practice in the private sector. Absolutely. But I just am giving you this context to let you know that is my Achilles heel right there.
Yeah. Because you're walking by it and it's right there. It's so easy.
And when I feel down and I need my mood elevated, which actually doesn't work based on what you just described.
Yep.
I go over there and fill my mouth up with chocolate M&Ms.
Oh, it works, but just because of the sugar, not because of the chocolate.
Ah, okay. Very good.
I mean, you know.
So that's going to be hard.
Right.
And whenever I eat anything for dessert or sweet treats or whatever, chocolate is always the main component.
All sweets revolve around chocolate for me.
Like Kendra would love to go out and just eat potato chips. That would be like her Achilles heel.
Jace too.
Really? They're crazy.
A bag of potato chips and he'll just sit down and eat the thing.
But not be interested in a bag of like peanut M&Ms.
Weird, right? I know.
Totally weird. I don't know what's wrong with these people. So anyway, yes, it's going to be very, very, very challenging, except I am trying to, watch my aerodynamic figure. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this will be good on that front.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for me. I've been doing so good at not eating a lot of sugar and just generally doing meal planning and stuff like that. Yeah.
So why is that going to make it hard for you then?
Because again, the only sweet thing I eat now is chocolate, and you're taking it away from me.
Okay, got it.
So dried cherries are really good. As I mentioned before, I eat apples all day long. I always cut up apples and bring those to work with me. But yeah, work food is hard. I mean, if someone puts out something at work, I will it's going to go in my body.
Well, good luck,
probably
Julie.
A better way of saying that.
Good luck.
Are you going to find a replacement thing to eat?
Yeah, so if I want something sweet, first of all, I'm going to go try to find sugar-free sweet replacements.
Oh, that's
And if I can't find sugar-free sweet replacement, I will eat Skittles.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
I know. Kendra loves Skittles also. Man, she's weird.
Yeah, weird.
All right, I will see you in 2 weeks, Julie.
Okay, thanks for doing this stupid.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
Okay, bye.
This is Chris Osborne from Play Comics, and I just want to tell you the 2 best things about chocolate. 1 is when you put it in chili, and 2 is when you tell somebody else that you put it in chili and they think it's going to be disgusting, but they try it anyway and it's the best chili they've ever had.
You are eating some very, very, very dark chocolate. How is it?
It tastes like vegetables. It tastes terrible.
It feels
like something a horse drops behind it.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Okay, how do you feel about chocolate in general? Not this kind.
Good. I didn't go spit this out.
Oh, okay, I guess that interview's over. Hello.
Hello,
this
Julie.
This is recording 2 after our lives have been reduced to shambles.
Oh, God.
And filled with loneliness and despair.
Check this out. Ready?
Okay.
Your mind is going to be blown. So, Julie, let me just tell you about my experience with it, okay?
All right.
All right. And I think I told you over the last couple weeks that I told some of my friends at work about this, in particular one, Aaron Dietz, who said, "Oh, that's great. You're going to give up eating slave chocolate." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And so, if you recall, I gave you a little bit of a preview into some of the research I'd been doing on what he was talking about.
Right. And the first bit that you shared with me was like from buymychocolateinstead.com. I mean, it was not reputable stuff. So I didn't believe you at first.
Right. Was it slavefreechocolate.org?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the thing that actually helped me get through this and completely changed the way I'm thinking about chocolate now and into the future is some of this research that I've done about just the complete unfairness of the chocolate industry and how it's made. So just a couple of things that I found out that I want to lay on you. One is that about 60% of the world's chocolate comes from the Ivory Coast and Ghana, two very poor countries in Africa. Their revenue, like combining not their revenue, but the two countries, what do you call it? National product? Mm-hmm. What is that? There's a word for that. The national product.
Yeah, the gross national product.
Yeah, the gross national product was less than Nestle's revenue in 2015.
Wow.
So Nestle had a revenue of $100 billion, and the two countries combined in that same year, their gross national product was somewhere around $70 billion. Okay. So it's indicative that the people who supply or are on the lines of cutting the pods off the trees and scooping out the cocoa seeds and doing all of the hard, dangerous labor for this are getting a raw deal. They're getting the shaft. They're not getting paid what they need to get paid.
And when you told me this, I was like, yeah, maybe 40 years ago, but there's no way that's still happening. And then I started researching it too. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's really bad. Children, some unpaid women, and the workers who are paid, the grown-ups, it's not like they've got pensions and healthcare.
No, not at all. No, the people who are paid, unless they're part of a certified cocoa growers farm or some other kind of co-op, they're generally making less than what the WHO would say for like a global level of poverty.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the
World Health Organization.
World Health. No.
Right,
I get it. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So about the kids thing and the unpaid labor, that's super interesting because think about it this way. And the research that I did into it, and there's a lot of articles about it. Forbes actually does a pretty good write-up about it fairly recently, and some others. The people who are unpaid are often most of the time, part of families that might either own or work on a farm together. Mm-hmm. So the people are just multi-generational cocoa growers and harvesters, and that's all they know. They inherited the cocoa from their family in some way, and they're just
sound bad.
Well, it sounds like the way the United States used to be 150 years ago, or even the way immigrant labor sometimes happened 50 years ago.
Right.
In the United States, where families would just have their kids go out and help on the farm because they owned a farm, they needed their kids to go, and school became second priority,
right.
And in a lot of these cases, there is no school or anything like that. People are illiterate, but this is the system into which they were born, and this is what they know. Now, those are people who are unpaid, but not necessarily slave labor.
Right.
Right? These are people who are helping out as part of their family structure, and it's just what they do. There's also the real concern about slave labor situations in these countries, where there's roughly 2.1 million children involved in the cocoa farming and growing and harvesting in general. About 15,000 of those are estimated to be part of the slave labor industry.
It's incredible. And like, seriously, listening to you say that, on the one hand, I'm like, that can't be true. That can't be true. That's just so much. And on the other hand, just making me sick to my stomach and like decreasing all thoughts of chocolate.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
It really helped me get through these last couple of weeks because it just, I didn't even want it as much.
Right.
I still wanted it initially, and then I would think about that, and then that reduced it. But
right.
I did start looking around at stores, at like frou-frou stores, and also just Safeway and our regular grocery store.
What'd you find?
Like, can I find some of the chocolate that's, I forget, is it called Certified Fair Trade?
Right. Fair Trade is one of the certifications.
And it's there. I mean, it's more expensive, but it's not impossible. I mean, my favorite one is one that I already buy, which is Theo chocolate, because it's made here in Seattle, and it's amazing, and it's really, really good, folks. Right. So maybe it's less expensive here than in other places, but I mean, you're talking like a nice bar of the very dark chocolate I get is like $2.99, or maybe $3.50 when it's not on sale. I don't know. But if I'm only eating a little bit of it a day, that's not out of ordinary, right? If I'm someone who I'm going to eat an entire bar of chocolate, then yeah, that's a lot of money to pay for something.
Right.
Or, you know me, I'm cooking all the time. I'm buying chocolate chips. Like, I haven't thought about, okay, where do I get fair trade chocolate chips? Because I don't want to buy expensive Theo bars and chop them up for my cookies. But at the same time, maybe I just need to take a bigger look at how I bake and how I cook. And, you know, these kinds of choices. The idea of slave labor picking the beans for me to make chocolate chip cookies to bring to work.
I'm just really looking at it through a new lens.
Yeah.
I think it's worthwhile to put chocolate into a category of, I don't know if luxury is the right word, but specialness, where if I'm going to have something chocolate, I want to make sure that it is coming from a place like Theo, which according to their website pays high prices above market and controls the quality of the product so that they can create a sustainable environment for their farmers.
Right.
Right. And
yeah, I mean,
on their website, you can go and buy a bar for like $3.99, you know, but that's, so like I work in Seattle, I work actually down the street from Theo. So for a special treat, instead of getting a beer or something like that, I don't know if they're equivalent, I would walk down there and spend $4 to get myself a candy bar with the knowledge that, yeah, I can satisfy that craving for chocolate and know that the people who are involved in this are being treated more fairly.
Would you recommend this to others? I might not necessarily recommend going without chocolate completely, but I would recommend taking a look at this research. Just look at the Wikipedia page for fair trade chocolate or slave chocolate and see what you find and see if you consider it reputable. And folks, again, I'm open to reading other research. If you have sources that you've got that say, you guys are way overblowing this,
absolutely,
please let us know and we'll record another episode about it. I mean, I don't want to malign the chocolate industry unfairly, but this is not something we need. It's not like, yeah, this kind of stinks, but I have to get this vitamin from chocolate or I'm going to perish. Like,
well, what's interesting is
it's a special occasion thing.
I completely agree, and for the exact same reasons. And as far as dates that I'm looking forward to, 2020.
You're still dating? Mark, you're married.
I know, right? I'm so bad. 2020 might be a big one. That's when big candy manufacturers like Nestle and Mars and others have committed to moving to like 100%, and I could be getting that number wrong, of their chocolate coming from certified co-ops. Not necessarily
pretty incredible.
But it's not necessarily fair trade, and the certifications vary. So you still have to read the fine print to find out how the sourcing is happening.
Well, I read that Kit Kat is already switched, but I don't know to like what extent or what kind of certification. But like it seems like it's starting to happen.
Right.
Kit Kats are pretty good.
I mean, think about it this way. Unless a chocolate company like Theo or someplace else, and I don't know if Theo does this, actually gives profit from their chocolate bars directly back to the farming co-ops, like with a money order. And there's no way to determine through all of the life cycle of chocolate beans and the thousands of chocolate farms that exist, I can't imagine that there's a sophisticated enough auditing process to make sure that money is actually going back to farmers to better their existence.
Oh, I mean, it's just the ongoing problem as a consumer of like, how accountable are we and distributors to knowing how stuff is made? You know, like, is Ivanka Trump responsible if someone making her purse is underpaid? I mean, I would say yes, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't really looked into that research enough. And like you said, I'm sure there are tons and tons of steps in that chain.
Right, exactly. Well, Julie, that is chocolate.
Woo-woo! Are you, okay, so like right now, are you hungry for chocolate?
No, it kind of makes me sick. But
me too. It's weird.
But I was very good, and I didn't have any the entire time. And there were times when, like at synagogue, they had arugula. Is that the stuff with chocolate in it, you know?
Yep.
And I didn't eat it. But I'm going to walk over to Theo's next week and get myself a candy bar. That's a little celebration.
It's amazing there. I went to an marriage party. The thing that happens before they get married. I forget what it's called. Anyway.
A wedding?
Before that. It was awesome. And I have 3 words for you. Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, so I can't eat those. I'm not going to eat them.
Yeah.
Unless Girl Scouts comes out with a statement of where they get their chocolate from. I mean, seriously, all they need to do is put... like
it's already child labor.
Right, exactly right. It is already. Oh, and that was one of the funny things about this. The day that I gave up eating chocolate, we got our Girl Scout cookie Thin Mints order.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but then I didn't feel bad about it because it's just child labor compounded with child labor. So
totally.
All right.
Okay, well, hey, thanks so much, Mark. This ended up being a serious episode, and I'm really glad in the end that we did it. When you first suggested it, I thought it was dumb and made up, but yeah, it's probably going to change me considerably. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll check back in on this. So, in other words, listeners, please, I beg you, if you find research that says Mark is full of beans, let me know. Right. So you can get in touch with us.
Or if Mark should be full of chocolate beans, let me know.
Right. Especially let us know. You can get in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, all the social media. We are at Wagon Pod, or just Google Station Wagon Podcast.
You said all the social media. Are we on Snapchat?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. Okay.
Yeah, but that's old.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm making that up. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, I was just going to make up something, be like, are you on Cadobanet?
Thank you to the Pleasure Kills for the song Modern Problems.
Thanks to our friends and family for supporting us and our being on a soapbox about chocolate.
Right. And our spouses and children for putting up with us.
I just said that.
Oh, you did? You said the word spouses? I didn't hear it.
Maybe I said friends and children and like not our spouses specifically. Maybe I deliberately left them out.
Forget those spouses.
Potato chip eaters.
Right? Potato eaters.
Okay, have a great day, everybody.
Well, wait a second.
What?
Next time on the Station Wagon, what are we doing, Julie?
We're going to focus on lip care. Is that what you
Was that a question mark at the end of that sentence?
I mean,
this is your stupid idea.
Well, so here's the thing, everyone. I learned how to make lip balm, and it's awesome. And
just like in the movie Fight Club.
Yeah, but less humans. Spoiler alert. And it's really good, and I'm awesome at it. And Mark doesn't even wear lip balm, so he was like, why do I need that stuff? Right. So we're going to talk all about lip balm, and I'll probably go without lip treatment, I guess, for a couple weeks, and Mark will try to actually take care of his lips.
Are you going to send me some of your stuff?
Yeah, definitely, of course.
All right,
do you have any flavors in particular you'd like?
Something masculine, like vanilla or mint, so that when I kiss Kendra or Pebbles, they know who's doing it.
I kissed a dog and I liked it.
Right.
It was a furry minute. Okay. All right, that's a song for you.
That's very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been working on that one.
Good. I have nothing more to say to you. Goodbye, everybody. Also, man, she's weird.
Yeah, weird.
Weird. Well,
and
good luck.
She's got weird eyes. I'm just
what?
kidding. She doesn't. I don't know. I just made that up.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I just trying to think of something mean to say that like isn't actually mean about her, like that doesn't actually apply to her.
Don't you be talking about Kendra that way.
That's what I was looking for. Okay.
All right.